Good morning. Good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Well, good morning if you are in Colorado or Pacific time. Good afternoon if you're anywhere else. Um, gonna continue working on a little bit of jazz stuff. As long as I'm practicing, figured it's a quick thing once again for me to just set up the streaming and hit go. So, today kind of working on something a little bit weird. Sometimes it's valuable, or oftentimes actually, it's really valuable to get used to playing in very odd placements. If you were to hear this groove that I have made up on Groove Scribe, you would see just how odd it is. It's kind of a funny thing because it doesn't necessarily sound good. However, it's good to get familiar with landing either kick or snare in these kind of odd placements. Uh, Actually, before we even drill into this exercise, I'm going to recalibrate it just a little bit, just to uh, give us a starting block, and then we'll change it from there. So instead of us working on a combination of kick and snare, we'll just familiarize ourselves with it as uh, just kick and then the walk the dog pattern. So uh, let's just try this here. So I'm going to click off just so that I can kind of make sense of this. So and see right off the bat how that lands in some really weird placements. Uh, the goal for today is just going to be getting used to landing strokes in those kind of weird placements. So and then we can try that same idea with our snare hand as well. And I have my full setup here on a monitor in front of me, so forgive me for not looking at you. But I do recognize you for being there. So thank you if you are hanging out. Okay, so let me noodle around with that a little bit more. So just so that you can hear the pattern that's going on there. So there's how that would go. If we were to throw that kick drum part onto the snare instead, which is actually a really valuable tool, just to be able to play in that placement on a snare comping, sounds a little bit weirder on a kick placement, and it'll sound really weird as we get going into the exercise itself. But that snare right there is actually really valuable. So. And it started to fall apart a little bit there towards the end, but really good to get used to that. So basically what it's going to be is if we looked at this swing pattern as dog, walk the dog, walk the dog, walk the dog, walk the dog, as I've heard it kind of described in the past, it's almost as if whatever we're hitting between kick and snare, it's going to fall on the dog part, and then it's going to fall just one triplet 16th after the walk part. So walk, walk, walk the dog, walk, walk the dog. So walk the dog. So it's dog, walk the dog. So it'll actually, forgive me, it'll fall on the walk the, and then it'll fall one after dog. So dog, walk the dog. See that? Walk, dog, walk the dog, walk the dog, walk the dog, walk the dog. So that's how it'll kind of fall into place. So now
now that we're good with both of those, so got both of those, feeling pretty confident with them. Where it gets really super wonky is once I start to throw these into those kick placements. Why I throw a kick there. Hi-hat foot. We'll do a ghost note just for comping sake. We'll do a ghost note here for comping sake. Ghost note here for comping sake. And forgive me, I should have just duplicated this that way. Hi-hat foot and ghost note. And oops, and I'm realizing that the whole thing is not showing currently, not quite the whole thing. So let's make this a little bit smaller. There we go. Now you can see that. And so we'll throw a ghost note there. Cool. So we have it mapped out as we want. So, and where it gets really weird is just some of these spaces that we have, like especially this right here, that 16th note triplet, it gets super weird just to like, you almost want to rush into the next thing and you almost have to just kind of chill out and just hang and not let yourself rush to it, because otherwise you'll kind of fall apart. So, all right, so let's give that a shot. So. So that's actually coming together a lot quicker than I was expecting it to. But we'll even, once I kind of get that down and feel good about it, then I'll take what we have here and I'll kind of mess around with it a little bit more. That way we can kind of apply this subdivision where it falls on the 2nd, the 4th, and the 6th 16th notes of each 6-note grouping of each swung. So each 16th note triplet grouping. So okay, so just to give like some mechanical feedback on this, some of the areas where it feels particularly weird is landing something on walk the, on the. So dog, walk the, right there, just because you get a little less impact. It's almost like to land a true stroke on a kick or a snare while you're landing kind of an accessory stroke, the first of those two, it's a little bit challenging just to land an accessory stroke while landing a true stroke. So like it's almost as if I'm dropping my hand down on the, so that I can drop my hand fully to get the the dog. So it's a little bit challenging to land a kick or snare. So let's look under a microscope at that part right there. So. It almost feels like you want to have the kick drum land a little bit after the. So it almost wants to just not fall with it. Hand lands a little bit easier because you can kind of just land it as an accessory stroke of its own, that being a ghost note, versus like, so if I was to play that same kind of mechanic to this comping hand, like a drop down, so a push pull. So that's where it feels a little bit more natural. Now let's see if we can kind of, because I just want to look at this from every angle is kind of what I'm going for. So, so now let's look at the kick drum where it is right here and the kick drum where it is right here. Let's disregard the rest of this as well as this ghost note that's there. So that's actually really tricky. Okay, to do those in quick succession is actually tricky, so this will be a good exercise for us. So, okay, so to land that with the Okay, so that's good for us to zone in on that. So. That's really tough, actually. I'm going to even put this one down because I don't need it for the moment. So. Okay, so starting to piece it together a little bit. Okay, so that's really, the turnaround on that's really challenging. So. And especially just the idea of to keep it locked in your head as if it is in a triplet format. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. To do that is actually really challenging. So. So again, this is me just working on that first beat of it. So just the kick drums on that first beat. Now that I'm feeling a little bit more familiar and I recognize the sound of how that sounds against the swung walk the dog pattern, let's try and add that ghost note that's in there. So. Okay, so totally tracking with that. Okay, cool. So I think I'm tracking with that. So now let's work on this second part. And since this is basically this, and then these two are a loop of the first half, it's basically the same thing repeated. Once I have this part down, then I'll have the whole idea basically. And then it's just a matter of playing this and this over and over again and feeling comfortable with that. So let me work on that a little bit. So that second part, so this grouping of 16th note triplets. So. Okay, that's going to be weird with that ghost note landing on the end there. So okay, so I'm just going to start with the ghost notes. That way I get familiar with that, and then I'll worry about the kick drum later. So. And then, like, once you get used to something like that, you could really just so that's the cool thing about this. So me just working on them in isolation, where I'm not playing all of them, because when I was doing it a second ago, that's me just doing it over and over again, and that's kind of easy to lock into. You feel the pattern, but not easy to lock into, but it's easier to lock into. So what's harder is to not fill in all those spaces, which I'm doing on this second one, because I'm hitting it here, I'm not hitting it here, and then I'm hitting it here, and then I'm doing a kick drum there instead. So, and also the added difficulty of kick drum and hi-hat coming down together is a little bit challenging. So let's try that some more. So okay, so I just need to really lock in with that kick drum. So okay, so just in my head, I need to remember that when the hi-hat lands for that iteration of it, my kick drum is also going to be landing with it. So it's both feet coming up and down, which can throw you into a little bit of unbalance, but it's good to get used to that unbalance. Ultimately, another good exercise you could do with this is like work through and just different things where you kind of familiarize yourself with playing the kick drum alongside the hi-hat and playing it against the hi-hat. So together, separate, together, separate, together, separate, together, separate, together, separate. So good to work on stuff like that. So let's get back to that second part. I'm pointing to my screen as if you're actually seeing that. So okay, so I'm getting it right, but it sounds weird just because it's a weird subdivision to work within. So so now that I have both those parts, let's see if I can put this first section and this second section together. So okay, so like that, it's almost, I would use this kind of application for if the band was kind of emphasizing or accenting certain things that were in alignment with these kind of subdivisions, but otherwise I could see it being valuable for just some kind of flair comping, like you're holding down a groove and then you want to do almost a fill at the end of a phrase, and I could see it working for that. So and then I blow it. And then even since the snare drum lands on the end of the phrase, you could very well just make that big. So cool. So I do like it for that purpose. I feel like it kind of lines you up for success and doing a big accent at the end. So and then blew that, swing and a miss. So cool. So let's try that idea one more time just to see if we're locking it in, and then we're at least getting closer to it. I'm gonna still have to work with this a lot more, but I'm at least happy to start getting more familiar with these spacings. And maybe for tomorrow's session, I'll do where I kind of break up and put them in different orders instead of it just being kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare over and over again. I might switch it up. That way I get used to playing on these subdivisions, but in different combinations. So. And then my kick just wants to fall to a different subdivision really badly. And then blew that. Dude, that first kick is so goofy. Yeah, so that's like a weird kick that I'm gonna have to spend a lot more time with, but cool. But I'm at least happy to start making sense of it. I'm just gonna have to get really disciplined about 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That kick just falling on that subdivision. So. Dude, it's like really, really weird. If we were to like even straighten that ride pattern out. Actually, that's probably a good way for us to look at it. Straightening that out and just getting used to that snare drum landing there. Or those comping between kick and snare. And I feel like this is almost something that would only work kind of at the slower tempo jazz, or at least the tempo that I've been sitting at, because any faster, I feel like there's just too much potential for this kick drum to kind of come derailed and want to go to this subdivision instead of this one. So, but all that to be said, I'm at least happy to start kind of familiarizing myself with playing things in these subdivisions. So, figured I'd practice it a little bit just to get my bearings on it. So, and at least better here on the tail end than I was on the front end. So tomorrow I'll have some more things I work on, probably jazz related, just because that's an area that I've wanted to work on a little bit. But I'm at least happy with this little bit of familiarity. So yeah, thanks for tuning in if you did, and I will see you tomorrow.